valid. So let me show you all the case here. And I'm probably going to make sure that this part of the live stream is put on members only. But this is on the Missouri Courts Judicial Branch of Government website. This is based on the case number that was on that order. You guys can see the court docket, the docket entries here. This goes back to September 16th of 2025. Let me know if y'all can see this. This is as large as I can get it. So there was a petition for a protection order filed, petition relationship to, and it says res boy girlfriend, same gender, LEOR, interim agency, Jackson County, minor child info child sheet, notice to collect paperwork, order to issue summons. This is on September 16th, September 17th, adult abuse hearing scheduled. Let's see here. Associated entries 10/15/25. A hearing continued rescheduled. Scheduled for October 15th, 25. Mary Frances Weir was the judge assigned to this case, or at least the JO. I don't know if I haven't looked her up to see if she's a presiding judge or just a judicial officer. And then you have the notice of court hearing set. And then you have the summons that was issued circuit court. And then the document ID number. And since, Umar the Oompa Loompa lives out of state, you have that here. Johnson Umar out of state. September 30th, summons personally served. This was served to Umar Johnson. Service date was done September 29th. 25. They got the time issued there. 20:35. That's like what, 10:35 p.m. And then you have served by the Philadelphia County PASD office, the police department, I think. Public attorney. So this is who did the service. And then there was a motion filed on October 9th from Umar for a virtual hearing. Motion was granted, sustained. So he could have done this virtually. He filed the request for a virtual hearing. Motion was granted October 9th, sustained. Motion granted, sustained. Motion to appear virtually granted. So why did he fly out? This is what he means by wasting money to travel. Why didn't he just get the link and actually appear virtually? That was a waste of money. And guess what? He's spending donor dollars for this. He files a motion requesting for a virtual hearing, and he still flies out to the hearing. That makes no sense. All of this could have been done virtually. So he was granted the motion for the hearing to be done virtually. It was granted. Umar Johnson notified via return email and given WebEx link. October 15th, hearing continued, rescheduled. And then you have some other associated entries here. This is when the hearing would be held on December 3rd. So that's the date she was talking about the hearing being held. And then hearing continued from October 15th. And then, of course, you have here December 3rd, adult hearing held, was scheduled for 11 a.m. Mary Frances Weir was the judge over the matter. Notice of court hearing sent, summons issued. And then here you got the document ID number again. Summons personally served by POU clerk in court. Y'all see that right here? So the first time it was the Philadelphia County PASD office. The second time it was served by POU clerk in court. And then you had the actual hearing that was done December 3rd here at 11 a.m. with the judge tried by court, civil judgment entered in favor of respondent, order of dismissal. And you don't see anything after that. That's the whole docket here. So there's no other information Neither party had an attorney, so they were both pro se. No charges or sentences or anything like that. You have service information. So here's the 2 times he was served by the Philadelphia County PASD and then by the POU clerk in court. And then, of course, this was on October 17th and then November 14th. Y'all can see the dates over here. Due date. So they got him service attempt date 9/29, service attempt date 10/15. There you go. There's no scheduled hearings or trials, civil judgments. None was there was no judgments ordered on the case. So the judge commissioner assigned was Mary Frances Weir. Kept trying to figure out who's I was like, who's Mary? Okay. There you go. So this is the entire court docket. So he doesn't care, but it's not because it's not his money being spent. Exactly. So I haven't seen Manny today. Yeah, where's Manny at? So this is the court docket information right here, y'all. This is a standalone protection order. It was a petition for a protection order, and then of course the protection order itself. Let me pull that back up. It was denied because there was not substantial evidence to support the claim. So as you all can see that here, order/judgment for respondent comes now to the court on petitioner's petition for order of protection. The parties appear pro se. Court having considered all admissible and credible evidence. And I mean, if Lenae is saying she didn't even review the videos to see, where he had made statements, threatening behavior, got the text to his son. If she didn't review all of that evidence, then, I'm kind of wondering what was actually was anything admitted prior to that? Because sometimes the judge they won't let you present evidence in a trial if you have not submitted it previously and shared it with the opposing party. So I don't know what happened with all that evidence she has, or whether or not the judge even allowed it to be admitted. Because if she's got video, if she showed at least 2 or 3 videos with timestamps, those videos should have been seen and heard in court. So I don't know what happened with that. And it says here, finds petitioner has failed to meet the requisite burden of proof for her claims, and the judgment is hereby entered in favor of the respondent. She can refile, and y'all see the judge's signature, Mary Weir. Therefore, it's ordered, adjudged, and decreed that judgment is granted in favor of the respondent. She can refile. So it's not dismissed with prejudice. And if I were her, I would refile it, because your attorney would be able, and get an attorney. The attorney would be able to go to the court to say, this is why. There could be a court rule, some case law cited to show that this is typically standard when you're talking about criminal charges coming forth. No different than, and I'm going to use the example of Charlie Kirk. So, of course, when the shooter in the Charlie Kirk case was caught, and he was charged, not sentenced. He hasn't been sentenced yet. When he was charged, the judge entered a protection order for the wife and the children. Reason being is because, let's say someone acted and participated in that, or the defendant was released, on some sort of bail, even though he wasn't, but let's say he was. Now you want a protection order in place in case he tries to go and do something to the wife and children. So oftentimes, a protection order can work hand in hand with certain criminal charges. And depending on the heinous nature of the charges, the judge will issue a protection order. So in this case, she did it in a separate matter, in where she filed the protection order petition, and it went to the circuit court. But she can also asks for some sort of protection order once charges are presented to the court from the prosecutor. And she can always just, refile and get an attorney, even if she wanted to go back through this route with the circuit court. So if I were her, Lenae, I would get an attorney, either have the criminal court judge file a motion with that matter to give you some level of protection, and just, provide your evidence to show there's a history of the doxing, the harassment, that you're in fear of your life. He said this text to me is a threat. It's a threat. He has threatened others in the past. He sent people out to people's homes. With the motive and intent for them to do some harm to this individual. You had another content creator saying that he was willing to essay a woman on behalf of Umar Johnson. And that is in another court document. So that could be used as an exhibit to help justify why this protection order needs to be put in place. So she can have her attorney or the prosecutor seek for that in the criminal matter, or she can go back through this again and refile and just get an attorney. That's what I would do. So I just, it sucks that she has to go through all of this. And then you got Umar's old stupid ass sending text messages like that to the son. Why are you involving her kids? Like, it's so crazy. So no, I would have that done again, because his Oguni goons and the Umar Tardians, they can't help themselves. They have a history of doing this. They go after people because someone said something Umar didn't like. They act as if they get to dictate free speech. No, they don't. They just don't. And then they're willing to put themselves out there and risk being brought into it and being named, being sued, having charges filed against them. Because they're too stupid to realize none of this is worth protecting and defending Umar when his jobless ass will not be able to get them out of trouble. None of it. He doesn't care. It's not his money. Exactly. He flew out when he was granted the petition, the motion he filed for a virtual hearing. He still flew out there. That could have been done virtual. You can't make this up. As far as it's over, so it's over and nothing really happened. For that protection order, seems like this was the petition for the protection order. She's saying that there's criminal charges that was filed, and it seems like maybe a civil suit. She said a civil matter, a civil suit, a civil case. So if she files a lawsuit against him, it needs to be a federal lawsuit, because I would just, I would just file a federal lawsuit, especially if he's sending other people out to aid in this criminal behavior with the cyber, the harassment, the stalking, the bullying, the doxing. Yeah, no. You want to see him set up like an organization's doing this, and they called themselves some sort of organization, then it should be heard as that in court. It would be similar to like a RICO, a whole conspiracy where you got a bunch of Umar Tardians out here doing all this nonsense, and then they want to run for the hills and get mad when you sue them. Child, please own up to it at the very least. Don't be cowards about it. Umar, can grow up. Kiss my ass. He's so ridiculous. Hey, family, what's going on, Uncle Mo TV? How you doing? Shout out to you. I appreciate you for tuning in. Can I get one of the monster drop Uncle Mo TV's YouTube channel link in the chat? Were you in the chat earlier under a different channel name? Let me know, because I want to make sure we recognize you when we drop your link to your YouTube channels. But shout out to Uncle Mo TV. So let's see. Tavares said, yep, Umar sent his goons to go after Lenae's kids. Exactly. They dox kids. They don't care. They don't care. If you have a grown adult that makes a comment about being willing to essay a woman on behalf of Umar because she criticized him, because he's subjected to that as a public figure, and it's called free speech and expression, and if Umar doesn't like it, he can take his unemployed dumbass out of our country. He bends and manipulates the law when it's convenient for him. But he thinks that free speech only works one way. That's not how that works. And defamation is not protected free speech. It is not protected under the First Amendment. You cannot make provable false statements against someone with no evidence and claim that they have tried to hack into your bank account. You're accusing them of a crime? Get the fuck out of here. You know, man, this is so crazy. Yeah, awful. Oh, we got an Umar Tardian. Let's see. These people are insane. They are. They're insane over someone that can't help them. Real men don't do that. Exactly. Oh my God, you can't make this up. And then yes, Tim Pool's caught it from a candy ass cult member. Oh my God, we got to talk about that tomorrow. You can't make this up. What's going on, Uncle Mo? I don't understand cult members. I just don't. This hive mentality. Umar Tardians are no different than the candy ass cult members. It's like a hive mentality cult mindset. And they follow this stupid cult leader who don't even pay their bills, who would never be able to get them any legal representation if they got hemmed up. Can you imagine him sicking his Ogoonie goons out on someone and then they show up at someone's house? And like I said, the police show up and that person gets shot. Now he's got an Ogoonie goon that's been shot because they should have never showed up at somebody's house to begin with. And to do what? What purpose would you have to go to someone's home other than to try to do them harm? And then that person defends themselves in their home, in their territory, and they shoot the idiot. Then what? You think Umar gonna pay for their medical bills? Hell no. And if they don't die, then they're gonna end up being charged and go to jail. You think Umar will sit here and send them an attorney? They'll get a court-appointed attorney. But then the first thing they're gonna say is, "Well, Umar told me to do it." So it still comes back to him. He's an idiot. He's a complete imbecile. Those people be willing to give him up if it means them avoiding jail. Because they're cowards. They're not going to go to jail. These people will risk their life for freedom for someone they don't even know. Exactly. That won't pay their bills. You can't make this up. BB said he also posted revenge type material. Oh my God. Yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna go over to Candace Owens because someone's got been targeted with that Tim Pool. You can't make this up because he spoke his mind. Oh my good Lord. So this is where I'm gonna end it. And I just, like I said, I got the case docket information here. Y'all see the order. And here's the case information here for those who haven't seen it. Based on the case number here. Like I said, this information is available to the public, but I don't have a reason to lie about what can be read by the public. So he's posting up something and he's saying things along the lines that's not reflected in this court docket activity. And he's lying about what's going on with this case. I mean, that can be addressed. There's no reason to lie about it. People can just look it up and read it for themselves. So if this is strictly for the protection order, there's a whole nother criminal matter. It sounds like a lawsuit. Perhaps I saw a civil suit. So I'm assuming there's a lawsuit filed. And it sounds like she said she filed a complaint for criminal charges. And she mentioned the criminal matter. So he's got at least 2 other cases coming his way. This is just, like I said, when there are criminal charges based on the crime itself, sometimes it's almost standard to request a protection order because you don't want that person to go after them, especially when you're vindictive or retaliatory like Umar is. He doesn't know how to just say, you know what, I'm going to just leave it alone. Oh, no, she's jealous of me and all this. She's not jealous of you, unemployed bastard. Then about trying to see him be with somebody that has nothing to offer somebody. Who the hell would be jealous of that? If these women want to see him and just take care of him, that's on them and their wallets. That's nothing to be jealous of. A sane, reasonable individual would not even want that burden anyway. Why can't he go get a job again? Why is it too hard for him to fill out a resume and a job application and get a damn job. He got the Umar Tardians funding his lifestyle. So you guys see the case docket here, the court information. This was for a protection order. And it's my understanding that I guess she requested an ex parte hearing so that he didn't see certain sensitive exhibits and information that she wanted to show the judge. Perhaps, a request for an on-camera view would have been best, but it just depends on what phase this was in. So instead of her getting an ex parte hearing, the judge went straight from, the initial hearing being scheduled or continued rather to an actual trial. And the trial that was held on December 3rd. So I'm just kind of like, if there's a criminal matter going on, I would ask the criminal court judge to, I would just motion that judge to do a protection order. And that you tried to go through, the channels of getting it done as a separate petition with the circuit court. And they didn't review certain evidence or something to that extent. Maybe she can get the court transcript. She said that she requested one, but no court or what you call it, a court transcriber was there, a court reporter. So if they didn't have a court reporter, why wouldn't, if she wanted a court reporter, I mean, in a civil matter, you have to pay for that. It's not automatically given in a civil proceeding. But if she was willing to pay for a court reporter, I don't understand why they weren't there. So I don't know what happened with that. But she said that she did request a court reporter. That way you can have a transcript of what was said. So, yeah, this is the case right here. Here's the information. And I'm assuming that this order that we just reviewed was also including a dismissal, but if it didn't specify with or without prejudice either. So either she can get clarification from the court for the judge to clarify that order and to be more specific what's dismissed and what's not, or what has been, entered in the favor of the defendant and what hasn't. That would be best, because you don't want to leave it to where it's ambiguous and confusing. Even Lenae was like, I'm confused. I was confused too. And I'm like, I just hope whatever's going to happen criminally with the criminal matter and the criminal charges, it needs to go ahead and proceed forward, and they need to protect her, because in that matter, she probably would be listed as a victim, and she should be able to get a protection order from the criminal court judge, seeing that she couldn't get it from this so-called whoever this judge is. It sounded like she was a judicial officer, and she worked under a presiding judge. Let me look her up right quick. Her name is Mary Frances Weir. So let me see, Judge Mary, because I'm just curious to see if she's like a judicial officer or an actual presiding judge. Yeah, she's an associate judge. Here you go. Division 31 Judge Mary F. Weir. She's an associate circuit judge. So that means that she still would have to operate under the supervision of a presiding judge. And there is a court rule that can be filed in the event that Lenae Stacks wants to refile a petition where she requests for the presiding judge and not for a judicial officer or an assistant circuit judge or assistant judge. Assistant judges are like physician's assistants. They still got to go to law school. They're still considered judges, but they operating under a presiding judge, if that makes sense. So there's a court rule where you can say, I don't want any associate judges over this matter. I want the presiding judge to preside over this matter, especially the trial hearing. Because at the very least, you can say, hey, she didn't review all the exhibits. I had, video evidence. I had text messages. I've had other exhibits and documentation in writing. She didn't review any of that. So I would do that. And then, you have to submit exhibits within a certain time frame before trial hearing so that the other party can receive it. So that's one less thing you want the defendant to be able to say. Your Honor, I haven't seen this exhibit. What's going on? I didn't know there was an exhibit list. So there's a form if you're pro se for exhibit list. You all see that here. So whatever you want the court to see as far as your exhibits that directly support your claim, you want to have this submitted in before the trial hearing. That way he can't whine and cry about it. Just a little education for those that do have to go into something pro se. There are certain court rules that you just have to follow, or else you can risk the judge not allowing that exhibit to be used in the case. Because, the other party wants to see the exhibit. So you have the ball in your court as far as what you want to have introduced as evidence into the matter. And if it's something where it's like personal information on it, I would have it redacted. Or try to find something else that would not reveal direct personal information about me that I don't want to be made available to the court, because then that can be made available to the public as well. So either it should be redacted, or I would just ensure whatever exhibits you have, it does not give out any other additional personal identifiable information for your safety and security and protection. And, go from there. So, yeah, this is an associate judge. And she could, file a court rule to say, it's a court rule. I don't want I don't want any associate judge assigned to my case. I want a presiding judge. That's it. They have to follow it. It's a court rule. It's just bottom line. So I just want to see what type of judge she was. And there you go. You can't make this stuff up. This is crazy. Oh, man. All right, y'all. That's all we got. April Chapman went in on Candace hard tonight. She's had it. Oh, yeah. I think we've all pretty much had it with Candace. I'm going in on Candace tomorrow, y'all. And we're going to check out Umar's video he did on Thanksgiving Day, where he went back into his mama's closet. And he, did another so-called fake psych counseling session. And it's like, why are you doing this? The board of psychology would not be happy about that. But yet and still, he keeps breaking laws, and he gets mad when people report his ass. But he won't stop breaking the law. Go to work. Get a job, Umar. Go get you a damn job. You're not opening up a school. You're done with that. You got a lot of heat coming your way for that. Oh, child, please. And Lenae, refile, get an attorney, and have your attorney file a motion on the court rule to ensure that your case is assigned to a presiding judge and not an associate judge. That way your attorney can make sure all your exhibits are, presented, and your attorney would know how to redact. Your attorney would know how to present your case so that you can get some level of protection. Because the Umar Tardians are not going to stop, and they don't care about doing something on behalf of somebody that's broke as hell and can't pay their bills. They don't care. They're brainwashed cult members. So we're going to be at it tomorrow. I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. Thank you all so much. Make sure you hit the like button. The Umar Tardians can still kiss my ass, and so can Umar. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.